take a look at Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Let's take a spot in here. Yeah, look at the Sefer.
No, he knows by heart everything.
He knows by heart, okay.
Also, it's in English. If you use the Kilatis first,
Simin Kuf Mem Aleph. We're going to take a look at Hilchos Purim. Kuf Mem Aleph.
Simen Kuf Mem?
Yeah.
Use we should use the standard Kahatzis first, I think.
Okay.
They give like 9 Kahatzis. With yours 3.
They even have a more modern one, which has that one there. See, there's 2 different ones.
Oh, the one with Bistritsky and
No, this one doesn't have the Kodesh, that one has.
what?
This one doesn't have the Kodesh, that one has.
Perez then it in the Kodesh, hasn't it?
Okay.
No, I usually use the standard one, but I
Hot
usually say
Megillah.
standard one. This kind of one with the Hebrew.
Okay, so
English
Simin
marks.
Kuf Mem Aleph.
They occasionally refer to the Shulchan Aruch.
Now, the Baisai Mishenichlas Oder Marbim B'Simcha B'Yisrael sheyesh edinu dvarim im ein Yehudi yishpetim im Chedizah shall have a judgment in this month. It's the halacha. Next sif, Bimei Mordechai Ester. We need to understand our Baisai before we learn inside. You know, Wednesday is going to be Taanis Ester.
Right.
And we know that the Tanakh and the Navi tells us about the Dalet Soimis, the Abot Soimis, Sem Haravi, Sem Hashvi, Sem Hasiri, Sem Hachi. There are Simin Kuf Mem Aleph. There are 4 Tanisim which are mentioned in Tanakh. And then we have one which is mentioned in the Torah itself, for Yom Kippur. Our Taanis Ester is not mentioned in any of them.
Because it was much later.
It was later. But Taanis Ester was not either, it is not mentioned in the Megillah. And
So it took you test?
Kuf Mem Aleph, Simin Kuf Mem Aleph. Do we know that the Megillah says that Esther asked
3 or 4.
Esther asked Mordechai that before she was masking to go to the king, even though it was Koch Nefesh. However, she said, "V'tzuma lai shloishes yomim laila v'yoyim." She should fast for me 3 days, 3 nights, in order that I should be matzliach in my mission. So that fast, Rabbi say, those fasts happened in Nisan time, at the beginning of Pesach.
Mm-hmm.
She said that Mordechai was mavatal the Seder. They didn't fast that year for the Seder because they were fasting.
She didn't have bitachon. When he tell her go to the Melech, she has to have bitachon. If Mordechai tell her he's Rosh Sanhedrin, he's her uncle or her husband. So she said, please fast on me. Yeah, bitachon b'kadosh baruch hu.
Well, we have to do our part. We have to show Hashem that we're returning to Him. We're doing tshuva. We're coming closer to Hashem, and therefore you should have good reason to come.
And later on,
Esther didn't look at it like a political thing. You know, I have a politician, and I could get my connection, and I can go out and we can arrange things. She looked at it like that. No, you have to have a segula. You have to have schusim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, she's going. She wants to have the schusim.
so why he has to tell her later on, if you don't go, רווח והצלה יעמוד לנו.
That was before. That was before.
ואת ובית אביך תאבד.
That was before. Then after she said that. Esther wasn't on the Madrega of Mordechai. But Lamaisa, you know, it's a good question, but Lapoil, before she went, the Seder was that she went into she fasted Af, Aniv, and Areisai,
עצום הקר.
okay? we're also going to fast, which is really the opposite, not such a good thing to do, because she's going to the king, she needs to be healthy and look good.
Yeah.
So fasting is not healthy.
So here it's showing
Obviously,
she had bitachon.
she's realizing that the whole thing is really about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we have to get rid of his gezerah. That's the key. Now, however, those Taanis Ester does not commemorate those fasts. Because those fasts were 3 fasts. Those fasts were the time of Nisan time. Our Taanis that we fast and Yud Gimel Nisan and Yud Gimel Adar. So, according to most opinions in Rishonim, is Zeicher to a different Taanis. We know that whenever Yidden went to Milchama, they used to fast. In the ending of Parsha B'Shalach, we know that Moshe, Aaron, and Chur, all Reish HaGiva, and Moshe, they went on top of a mountain, and Moshe sat on the rock, and Moshe lifted up his hands, and while they were in battle. And Chazal say they were fasting. All 3 of them were fasting. That the Yidden, they're davening and fasting, the Yidden should win the war. Now, every time Yidden went to war, the Yidden would fast, so they should win the schus, they should win the war.
Who fasts? The manhigim, the leader, or just Amcha?
The soldiers were not allowed to fast. The soldiers are asur to fast because they need to be strong. So people that people that were home, the manhigim, they could fast. So the Maisa, so the Rishonim say that it seems that the origin, the Makor of our Taanis Ester is to commemorate it also then, just like by every Milchama. Those that don't go to war, those that are not needed to fight the battle, they fast. So to over here, when it came to the story of Purim, they had to have a battle, because remember, the second letters that were sent out, Igeres Hashenis, did not nullify the first decree. Haman's decree remained, because once it's Nechtam B'Tamal Samelech, it can't be... Right, it can't be returned. That was the crazy Gezerah, so it's a crazy type of rules they had in that country.
So it was more than Nes then, double Nes. At the second degree, the second reading,
right,
to kill it. Wow.
So Be'etzem, it was 1 year time from the story, from the whole Maisa with the Suda, it was a year till they came to that to the next year Adar. And Lamaisa, they didn't know what was going to be. Klal Yisrael, were they going to win or not going to win? It was a battle.
How long did they fast for?
So it says that that day when it came to it came a year later, the day that you give Adar that Haman threw the lottery. So now all the Malikim had the rights to go kill the Yidden, and as well the Yidden had the rights to defend themselves, to kill them back. So it was a war. It was an open war. They were allowed to be battles both ways. The original letter stayed and the second letter stayed.
Yes.
So up until then, no one knew what was going to be, who was going to win the battle. That was the nest that they won. L'maisa, on a day when Yidden went to battle, we assume that they fasted then, because Yidden always went to battle. Those that didn't go to battle, you don't need all your soldiers to go to battle. You have some soldiers, those that stay home, those men that are home, they fast. In order to daven, tefillas, and tanesim, slichas, those that are in battle should win. So Mustama, they fasted then, and that's why we fast. So L'maisa, our Taanis is not mentioned, not only it's not from the Nevi'im, it's not in the Megillah, it's not even mentioned in Chazal, it's something of a sort of a minig, a very old minig, and this minig is based on the fact of Zeicher that the Yidden that fasted then. We'll take a look.
Does that mean if Chas war broke out now, and we can't go to fight, what we have to do is fast and tefillah?
Yeah, you have to fast and have tefillas. Let's take a look inside.
So this is the lightest fast.
Yeah. Because of this reason, because it's not mentioned in the Nevi'im, and it's even not mentioned in Chazal, no clear Chazal says Chayev Adam Taanis Beyin Taanis Ester. Taanis Ester is not mentioned anywhere in Chazal. So therefore, it's a much lighter fast. Let's take a look at Siv Beis. What we spoke outside is in Siv Beis, and then we'll add on some more things later. B'mei Mordechai ve'Ester Simin Kuf Mem Aleph Siv Beis. Nikalu Yehudim, the Yehudim gathered together b'shloisha asa b'chodesh Adar lamed al nafshim v'nokim eveim v'yitzrichim levakish rachem es Hashem yizbarach sheyazrim. You need to ask Hashem for rachmanis to save them. We always find kasher hayu Yisrael b'molchama, when the Yidden went to war, those that weren't fighting, hisanu sheyazrim Hashem, they fast, Hashem should help them. V'gam Moshe ben al Shalom b'yem shenuchim Amalek Kisana. Moshe himself fasted when they went out to war on Amalek. Imkain Mistama Gam Oz v'Martchav Estes Ana b'yem Gimel. It's Mistama. We don't even have it clear. Most probably they fasted. It doesn't say clear they fasted in the Megillah. Very interesting. Makar. V'lechein kibu aleim kol Yisrael yom zeh l'tainis sibur v'nika tainis Ester. All of Klal Yisrael accepted upon themselves this day to fast. K'dei lisker sh'abaydi yizbar shmoi roya v'shemea tfilas kol ish be'eser asay kasher yis'ana v'yashal shem v'cholav havi. That the Baydi, the Bashefer, sees everyone's tefillas in the times of the tzara, when they fast and they do tshuva, he answers them. K'meisha also v'seinu b'yam mehin. We call makim still no ein time as a choiva kolkach. It's not such an obligation. K'mei abba tainiris sheksuva mikosh I mentioned the pasuk. Chenish lahak beis hatzerich we can be makel in times of necessity. K'goy mubaris pregnant women umenikos nursing women. V'yafilu choyla k'tzas b'kei v'nayim even if the person is a little bit of a sick because of their eyes. Shemitzarim harbi lo yisanu. M'chein yiladet kol shoshiyim also women that gave birth. Even if she's not nursing, for the first 30 days. A chasim during the 7 days doesn't have to fast. They should pay back the Taanis later. Others say that the chasim does not have to pay back the Taanis later. All of the healthy people should not separate themselves from the community, should all fast. Even someone's going on the road and it's hard for him to fast, still one needs to fast. This is brought down in Rishonim of a certain ma'aseh that happened. A certain lady that needs to travel and to go to Vatal Gzeida. Still no, they said she has to still fast. The ma'aseh, Rabbi Yisai, the Rebbe points out there's a certain letter where the Rebbe asks a kasha. He wrote to someone a letter. And the letter he says that L'chora, he points out clearly that according to all opinions, the Taanis that we're fasting is like we just read now, is based on the fast of that they fasted for the Muhammad. It's nothing to do with the fast that Esther fasted, the 3 days, 3 nights. It's not a connection. Esther's fast was a year earlier. It was a year earlier. It was a year earlier. It was Nisan time a year earlier.
It wasn't even the time.
No. Yud Gimel Adar, he threw lots that should be the next year. Should be the and when they heard that, so then it was the whole Maisa where Esther went into Achashverosh, and it was 3 days and it had the Sudas and Achashverosh agreed. But what did Achashverosh agree? To write new letters that on that day the Yidden also have Rishus to go and defend themselves and to fight back. So there was no guarantee that the Goyim had Rishus to fight with the Yidden, the enemies of the Yidden. Those that were the enemies. And the Yidden could fight back. So no one knew what it was going to be. And so the Zeicha, the Taanis that we fast, is a Taanis, the way that Rishonim explain, has nothing to do with Esther's Taanis, according to most opinions.
So what they call it Taanis Esther?
Comes the bomb question, what does it have to do with Taanis Esther? Mele, if it's the Keneged, it's Sumei Lai, those Taanis, why do we call it Taanis Esther? So then we understand why it's Taanis Esther. But Mashenki in our Taanis, which the way that the Rishonim explain, which brought down the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, what's the reason? I'll tell you, by the way, according to Rabbeinu Tam, according to some of the Rishonim, there is a hint in Gemara, there's a mention in Gemara of Taanis Esther. Not all opinions agree with this, but some opinions hold that there's a mention of the Gemara, not the obligation to fast, but there's a mention of the Chiyuv of Taanis Esther in Gemara. It's in the first Amud of Gemara, Megillah. The Mishnah says over there, Megillah Nikras, Yid Aleph, today was Yid Aleph, yeah? Yid Aleph, Yid Beis, Yid Gimel, Yid Dalet, Tezvav. Those are the 5 days that you're allowed to read the Megillah. Now, we only read the Megillah, Yid Dalet, Tezvav. Yid Dalet, for all those cities that are not walled. Tezvav, all the walled cities like Yerushalayim and the old ancient cities of Yerushalayim and Yisrael, read on Tezvav. What are the earlier dates about? So the Gemara says that there were those people that lived in villages and they did not have someone there that knew how to read the Megillah for them. So they would always come into the big city on Mondays and Thursdays. It's called the Yom HaKnisa, the day of gathering, that they would the day they would enter into the big city. Why would they travel to the big city? Well, first of all, the Dinim, the Dinim were open those days, on Monday and Thursdays. People had a Din Torah, so people would be coming into the big town to have their Din Torah. As well was the Yom HaShuk, the days when the market was open, people bring their things to sell. So the people would travel, make the tircha to come in. So if they would have to come in, they didn't have anyone to lay in the Megillah. So Purim didn't fall out on a Monday and Thursday. So when are they going to read the Megillah? They're going to have to come in an extra day. Chazal did not want that they should have to be matriach themselves to come in another day. And then they said they could read it the Yom HaKnisa, the Thursday or the Monday before. Which comes out that these are the dates that Megillah could potentially be read. It's from Megillah Nikras, from Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, Yud Dalet, Tezvav. Now the Gemara asks, how do we know these extra dates? The Mela, Yud Dalet, Tezvav are clear in the Megillah. The Megillah clearly says, Yom Me'elu, you read the Megillah, Tezvav, Yud Dalet, Tezvav for all the mitzvahs. However, where do we know that you're allowed to add another 3 dates? So the Gemara says, as an extra word, it says, Bizman Nehem. You should read the Megillah in these days, in these times. What's the extra word in these times? So the Gemara, it's coming to be marbet to include another 2 days. So the Gemara, where do we ask the Gemara? Okay, 2 days, but how do we get extra 3rd day? You want to add Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, but how do we get Yud Aleph? So the Gemara explains, Yud Gimel, we didn't need a pasuk. Lamali kra svarahi. It's not the Lashon of Gemara, but you don't need a pasuk. It's a svara. Obviously, logic tells you that you could read Yud Gimel. Why? Yud Gimel was the actual day that they fought. They fought the war. Yud Gimel. The Gemara says, calls it Zman Kihilo Lakoili. It's the day when everyone gathered. So Rashi explains that means they all gathered together to fight their enemies on that day. That was the day they won the battle. Yudalah was the day they rested, so we celebrate Yudalah as Purim, the main day. But Yud Gimel was the actual fighting, and they won the battle. So they had the Netzach in Gimel. So what could be? Of course, you could read the Megillah on Yud Gimel. It has a shaychus to the Nes. You don't need to explain to me the shaychus to the Nes. So Bizman Neyem, to add in 2 extra days, is coming to include 2 days before Yud Gimel, Yud Aleph and Yud Beis. Now the Gemara uses the word Zman Kihil Lakoil. I think it's the last line, the first time. It says day of gathering. So Rashi says the day that everyone gathered to fight their enemies. But Rabbeinu Tam explains that Zman Kihil means something else. Zman Kihil means that on the day of Yud Gimel, everyone gathered together in shul and fasted and said slichus that they should win the war.
At the time,
soldiers.
or every year.
At that time, and every year following, that became a zeicher to the fact that Eden stood together in Taanis and Slichis, like we just read in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. That's the day that we always use at Taanis. So it comes out, according to the Rabbeinu Tam, there's a hint, there's a mention of the concept of Taanis Ester, that they fasted then. That they gathered and they fasted and they davened. They were nikol, they were zman, kihil lakoili. They came together on that day. According to the Rabbeinu Tam, there's a mention of it in the Gemara. But there's nothing, the Gemara never says it where you have a chayiv to fast. So, ending of the day, it has a status of a minig, a very old minig. We're glad to have minhagim, according to certain people, taking meiser, according to certain shittas, taking meiser, ksafim, meiser from money. We know the Torah tells you have to take meiser from produce, from your field. Where do you know you have to take meiser from your monies? It's a machloikis, major machloikis. Some say it's a din min ha-Torah, some say it's midrabanan, and some say it's a minig. But those that say it's a minig, it's not a risa minig, it's a minig, it's started by Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu gave from his money, from the war, he gave Maisa, V'yitin Maisa's kil to Malki Tzedek. So it's a very, very ancient minig that we have passed on from Avraham Avinu. Al Kovan, this minig is a very old minig which comes since the times of Zman Purim. But L'Poyel, it's not a chiyuv, it's mentioned in the Chazal. But according to Rashi, there is no Makor for Taanis Ester.
Where does it come from? Minig. But it wasn't...
No, the minig is a zeicher to the fact that they gathered together that year, and they fasted and said slichus.
Minig wasn't the times of the Gemara, otherwise the Gemara would have mentioned the minute. No?
That's... the God I think there is, in the She'iltis, one of the early Rishonim, to one of the Goinim, or a Choy Goin. So the Shiltas does mention a certain nusach of the Gemara that it seems that the Gemara did mention that there was obligation. But our nuschos of the Gemara don't have any mention.
So who mentions the first time? In Shulchan Aruch.
No, the Rishonim already mentioned. The Rishonim already all mentioned that the concept of fasting. The Rishonim are full of discussions about Taanis Ester. But there's no mention in Chazal. The only might be, according to certain shittas, Man Ki La Koil refers to Taanis Ester.
Right, Man Ki La Koil, but that's only not according to Rabbeinu Tam, not according to Rashi.
Not according to Rashi. Even according to Rabbeinu Tam, he's not telling you that the Gemara is over here telling you a chiyuv. He's just, that's a mention of it. It was a mention of it. That's why we're makel for those that need. B'shas HaTzoyrich, you can be more makel with Taanis Ester. L'gabi the question, why is it called Taanis Ester? So according to the Shittas, Taka Gvalda Kasha. So the Rebbe wrote this letter to someone. He brought all the Shittas down. Side the Shittas that all the Shittas when we showed them down. And the Rebbe says, but we have a big kasha. For us, why does it call Taanis Ester? So the letter was delayed. He didn't send back the letter out right away. Delayed the letter. And then the Rebbe wrote to him that Al Kapanim to L'chidudi, he said, maybe we could say that the reason why it's called Taanis Ester is like this. We know every war, we have soldiers in the army. The soldiers fight the war. Not everyone goes out. Not every man is in the war. Certain ages, certain people that are strong, and different things. They're the ones that go to the war. But everyone else stays home. So who fasted? The people that stayed home. Purim was very different. There was no army. There was no Yiddish army. The Gzeira was a Gzeira on every single Jew. Mm-hmm. A Nashim V'tach, every man, woman, and child was under the Gzeira. And the Lashon Megillah is that they all had to stand up and fight for their lives on the day of Purim. Men, women, and children had to fight for their lives on the day of Purim. So it comes out that l'chura, none of them were allowed to fast in the year of Purim. No one was allowed to fast. Mm-hmm. Because it's also to fast if you're going to Milchama. They all had to be strong. You can't start fasting, you have to fight your neighbor. You can't fast. So L'maisa Kumtais, no one was able to fast.
Milchamas Mitzvah didn't fast?
No, not the soldiers themselves. The people that stayed home. Those who were under 20, over 60, only those that went to war. But anyone else for certain reasons didn't go to war. Many different reasons. The Psukim in the Torah tell us a lot of other reasons why people stay home from not to go to battle. Yeah. All the different reasons. So all these different reasons, for whatever reason, ages and reasons that people were home, they had to fast. The men and the women had to fast. But L'maisa Purim was different. Everyone needed to battle. Everyone had to stand up. Nikula Nasham. They had to stand up to protect themselves. So no one could take the risk of fasting. It was awesome to fast. It wasn't a formal army in a battlefield somewhere far away. It was everywhere in the streets they were battling. So L'maisa, says the Rebbe, maybe you could say, L'chidudi, to say a sharp word, that maybe the only one who was really able to fast was Esther. Esther was the one in Beis HaMalchus. So she was protected. She didn't have to fight for herself. So she was the only one able to fast. So the ending, that's why it's called Taanis Ester.
But everybody actually fought.
They ended up actually fighting where they had to be on the...
To stand on your life.
Stand on your life for the neighbors. There's no soldiers. There's no kinds of army of soldiers. No battlefield. It was everyone standing up against their enemies on the streets. So there was no...
Somebody asked me why you have to wait till after Megillah.
The mice we find by Amalek. It says Moshe fasted when Amalek went. So if we read over here, we just read the Lashon.
Yeah.
So Moshe was Masana.
She was allowed to obligate her servant to fast.
I think her aides fasted.
So she could ask them to fast.
I don't think it's...
Somebody asked me that he wants to know why you have to wait till after the Megillah to break your fast. Like Havdalah, like not eating Shkia. You're not supposed to break your fast.
So we'll talk about it. Let's talk about it in a few minutes. I'm going to get to it. Siv Gimel, everybody say. B'yud Dala ba'adar, Yom Yudala ba'adar hu Purim. In Purim Chal b'im Aleph, if Purim falls on a Sunday, Magdimin Lis'anis b'im Hey, then we fast on Yom Hey. Thursday. Ve'im yesh oz bris milah. If there's a bris milah then, Yasus Asuda Balayla, You make the suda at night. Avol hasandik v'avia ben mutarin lechol b'yoyim. In such a kriyas, when it's pushed off Taanis Ester to Thursday, sandik and avia ben are allowed to eat. They don't have to refast again, pay back the fast. Mashal v'tainis and yom vav. Adam acher, a regular person, sheshacha v'achol b'yom hey, he forgot and he ate on such a kriyas when it was on a Thursday. Yisana b'yom vav, he has to make up a Taanis on Friday.
Are you allowed to fast on Friday before Shabbat?
L'chatchila we're not kaveya, but if you have to, yeah. The kvoid ha-megillah, yishlu beish sipdala, yishlu beish big day Shabbos be'erev, when the cover of the Megillah, one should wear big day Shabbos, he wears a suit, or he wears a kapot, or whatever he wears, he should go to the Megillah with big day Shabbos. Yishiyavim beis ha-knesses, when you come home from shul, Yimseh be'beisei neiris del, because you find candles lit, shulchan aruch, table set up, umitum with sas, everything is laid out, because it's a shtickle yamtiv. So even some people are noyig actually to have a shtickle suda, like it says here shulchan aruch. You should have a shtickle suda even the night before the first night. The seder is first Ma'ariv Arvis Lach Shemon Esrei Oim Kaddish Shalom Teskabel. You always have to say a Kaddish Teskabel after Shemon Esrei to say Teskabel Tzlois and Yidamet Hashem, that your tefillah should be Mekubal. Teskabel Tzlois and V'usen, or Tzloisen and a V'usen should be Teskabel. V'koyin is a Megillah, after you read the Megillah, Achgach Oim V'ata Kodesh, after you say V'ata Kodesh. Now it's not Matzah Shabbos, so why are we saying V'ata Kodesh? Shabbos, there's special reasons why we say V'ata Kodesh, like it says in Shulchan Aruch. Over here he explains that the pasuk V'ata Kodesh is in the Mizmer in the Kapitel Tehillim Lametzeach Layel Shachar, Kapitel Chav Beis, Shenemar, which is said Beruach HaKodesh Al Esther, regarding Esther. V'sham Nemar, V'sham Nemar, there it says in the pasuk before, and the Kai Ekra Yoimam V'Leisana V'Layla D'Miyili, I call out to Hashem night and day, which is a remes to the Megillah. That by night we read the Megillah, we call out to Hashem by day. The Nemar on Megillah, the Amar Vishom and Levi, Chayev on Likas the Megillah Balayla, the Shanois of a Yom, you have to repeat it by day. Shenemar Lakai Ekra Yom V'Leisana V'Layla L'Leidimili. What's the next pasuk? V'Samach Levi V'Ata Kodesh. Next pasuk V'Ata Kodesh. So right after we read the Megillah, that we were Mekai and what it says on the pasuk before, so we read V'Ata Kodesh. V'yachakach we say after the Megillah Kaddish Shalom B'lei Teskabel. And we say Shabbos V'hinoyam, then we say V'hinoyam V'ata Kodesh because it's a Shabbos. Kaddish Shalom B'lei Teskabel. Then we eat l'cha, Mevdilin Al Hakoyis and Aleinu. Okay, that's the seder for what's a Shabbos. Sif Hey. Noyekin Litim Koydim Purim Machzim Adbeya. We had a minute to give before Purim, half of the currency in that country in that time. Zeichel Masa Shekel Sheinoisim Ba'ader L'tzoyrich Karbonis Hatzibur. The Masa Shekel was given during other time for the Karbonis Hatzibur. We know that Ish Chodesh Nisan, they had to start, there was a new fiscal year in the Beis HaMikdash, they would start taking the Truma Chadasha, the money, and the money would start, they collected the money throughout Adar, the Masa Shekel for the Karbonis. And that's why we read Parsha Shkolim either on Rish Chodesh Adar or Shabbos before Rish Chodesh Adar, as a zeicher to the fact that we used to bring the reminder to collect the Masa Shekel throughout the month, and we actually also give a Masa Shekel as a zeicher for that.
This is for the Adonim?
For the Karbonis.
This is Karbonis.
Yeah, the Adonim was also a half a shekel, but this is for L'chap and Hafshaseichim for the Karbonis Sibur. The minig is to give 3 halves that are called half. Some countries don't have a half a coin, like we have a half a dollar, right? Mm-hmm. Not every country is a half of their currency. Different denominations, but not a half. And sometimes they use a currency like the euro or the dollar, which will go all around. Over la soicher, currencies which can be used all over.
The dollar is probably good.
So the dollar, wherever you go in the world, so you can use the half dollar. Why? Why do we do 3? L'chol machzor shekel only gave 1 machzor shekel. Shel parashat Kisisa ksiv gimel pa'amim truma. It says 3 times the word truma.
So you have to put it I mean, you buy $1 for $1.50. No, but you have to use more because it's real silver.
So Maisa Zoi. And Shulchan Aruch itself does not say it has to be silver. But the minig is to make it more of a zecher, and we do it also silver. So that's only the 50 cents, half dollars from before 1965. From before 1965.
Those are only 90%.
Right.
But the ones
And afterwards
now,
are 90% fakert, no?
No,
They all have a little
up
bit of
until
silver.
1970, up
I don't
until
think they have any
1970,
silver
they
in
were
it.
2/3. After 1970, they were zero.
Uh-huh.
Zinc.
No, I
Yeah, you could buy them. They're not not so expensive. You can buy them.
No, but every shul provides that you should be paid it.
Oh, so Maisa Zoi. Look, at Chila we use silver coins. If you don't have silver coins, you use regular half dollars. The main thing is 1, but our minig is to 3, right? Corresponding to the 3 times Truma it says on the pasuk. Now, Lamaisa, how do we do it? That really, these coins at face value are worth $1.50. But Lamaisa, you can't get these coins today. And today, these coins you buy them, they cost $6, $7, $8 each one, right? So the Mishnah Brura brings up the Shaila. Mishnah Brura says in his Biur Halacha that he doesn't understand how could be what's going on over here. We're sort of like we're cheating hektish. We're cheating with staka. Staka, you put down the shul has to be coins, 3 machzas. You come, you give $1.50. You buy it. That's yours now. You're coin it, and then you give it back like I'm giving 3 machzas. But it's not the hektish is going to give you for $1.50. People won't give you that for $1.50 today. It's sold to you for $20, $21. What the price they're going to sell depends on the condition and everything, but they're going to sell it to you for much more. So how could you buy something which is worth much more? This is a kasha Mishnah Brura.
It's a real transaction.
And so the real transaction is to become yours. You're supposed to be coin it and give it back. Aga, by the way, you see some people, they take the coins and they pick it up 3 times. There's no way into picking up 3 times.
Because they got confused.
They got confused. There's 3 coins, Taka.
In case you didn't do it first, correct the first.
For each, if you're doing it for other family members, also other people, okay. So then you're giving money for a few
You
people.
have to do for all the members of the family?
Every person,
Yeah.
not every community does. Not every community does. Chabad they do.
How about they do?
Yeah. Not only that, it says there's even a remez in Svarim.
Each one you have to give $20.
It says that with the shaila whether you should give. There's a discussion the early achronim. You should give also for like kaparis, or where we do for even a unborn child. So uber should that also be done for machzah shekel? So Lamaisa, one of the Gedei Achronim writes, Remez, he says, Kol ha'oiver al pakodim, anyone who goes over to be counted, Kol ha'uber, ha'uber al pakodim. Even the uber,
To take a
even
Uber.
the babies in the mother's womb have to also do it. Lamaisa,
This wasn't-
originally it said, in Minhagi Chabad,
This
it
one
originally
was
said that it was only the Minig Beis Sarav, only for the Alter Rebbe's household, all the Rebbeim, going back all the years, all the Rebbes themselves did for all their family, for their wives and the children.
Now,
But Lamaisa, later years, the Rebbe mentioned that the minig became, or the minig is that everyone does it. But originally, it was not lavdafk. In a lot of kehilas, I don't know taka if they up to date they do the whole family. I don't know.
No, Sfadim doesn't do.
Doesn't say Menachem.
Only the head.
Only the head of the family.
isn't it over 20?
You'll see in
Yeah.
a second. We'll talk about it in a second. So Lamaisa Mishnah Brura has this kasha. That's a good question. Mishnah Brura has this kasha. Mishnah Brura gives his teretz. Mishnah Brura says to me, yeah, he says the minig is that everyone does it this way, right? He's not going to come and challenge the minig that everyone buys the coins from the shul.
Mm-hmm.
The shaila is
How much money are they giving him?
how is this transaction working? How are you able to sell short, to buy short stuff? So Lamais, he says, since the shul gains so much money from it, so the shul allows itself to be sold cheap. I mean, the hektish understands that really it's worth $21, but they know that not everyone's going to give $20 to it. So therefore, the shul says, we'll give it to you $1.50. But we know with that, we'll have 100 people doing it, right? So therefore, the shul's maskim. So if they're maskim, it's on a condition that they did it that way. It's not a geneva. It's a tanai. The gabayim in the shul, Peretz allows it, and the gabayim here allow it. So since they allow it, it's not a problem.
Alright, you allow it?
I have
The one thing I want to tell you like this: the gabbai of the shul, who bought the actual. If the shul owns the coins, that's how you have to deal with it. But the gabbai, if the gabbai owns the coins himself, or a private person comes to shul, he wants to collect staka, for a certain moisid, so he brings his own plate with matzah shekel. Or the gabbai comes and he also wants to give matzah shekel, right? He gives it. It's actually his coins. He owns it, so he gives it. Now he gives it to the tzedakah, so now it's at tzedakahs, and people are Taanis Ester, people are doing before mincha doing it. Now when he wants to go home, he can't just pick up the coins and go home, unless it belongs to the shul. If he wants to keep it for himself, he has to buy it back, and he has to buy it back l'chora by the worth l'chora.
Heard you hear that?
I'm not saying for sure. He discussed it with the local Rav.
I never build Yosef.
But Lamaisa, it could be, maybe this is also part of the Tanai, but Lamaisa, l'chora, if the 3 coins belong to the shul bought it with the shul money, okay, so it belongs to the shul. It stays in the shul's possession. But if the person who brought the coins to shul, and he actually used it for matzah shekel, he puts it in, and he gave it, now it belongs to the shul. Now, how is he going to get it back and take it back home? You can't walk away with staka's money. You gave it to the shul. If you want it back, you have to buy it back.
I think some people.
So now the shaila is: are you allowed to buy it back with $1.50, or do you have to buy it back for the value? I don't know.
I think some people are giving $25.
Some people do. Lamais, it says.
Better Faradim give $20 minimum. For each machatzit
Because they're worried about the Mishnah Berurah.
No, there's also another inyan, by the way. The Gra, and there are other poskim that held.
Not for each.
Other poskim held that at least we should try to give the value of the original matzah shekel that was in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, times the Moshe Rabbeinu.
Oh, that's what it is.
So to figure out the value today, what would the value in silver be? What the value of silver is today, and what would be the amount?
Who knows how much it is?
Yeah, there's cheshbainis. I'm not bucky in it, but you can see it around Sfarim talk about it.
$50.
And a lot of people want to give to tzedakah the actual amount that a real matzah shekel is worth. At least one coin. At least one. They should actually give for the worth of one matzah shekel to tzedakah. Some people have such a minig.
It might be hundreds of
Minig
dollars.
pashat is the people do the 3 coins. The sulay. Now, Menaisim ba'arev, we're middle sif hay. Menaisim have you given the evening the fnekis and Megillah before we read the Megillah. Our minig is before mincha. Our minig is before, not only our minig, I mean that I'm already right, it should be done before mincha. Everyone does before mincha. Now, Machalkes al we give the money to Aniyim, to poor people.
What the shul eats it up and gets the money. I thought it was the shul.
Maybe the shul used the money for Aniyim.
No, okay, have your name. That's what.
No, but here he's probably talking about not using gold.
This is not Matanas of Yoinim, it's a shekel, it's separate.
Maybe what he's saying is just give $50 from the current currency and give it to Aniyim.
Yeah. Give it to Aniyim, or the shul the Gabbai can do it for you.
No, but that wasn't the purpose of the matzah shekel.
True.
It was for the upkeep of the Beis Hamikdash.
Emes. I'm not sure about this prat. I remember looking at it one year, but I don't remember. But here he says that it should be given for the Aniyim.
I know the rabbi of the shul in Bet Torah. He has big envelope, and he put all the equally to machatzit shekel, and he distributed ma'od le'evyonim in poor. He's give like hundreds of dollars to each
The
different people.
shekel?
No, from the money of machatzit shekel.
Yeah, the Baisai.
He met the Kenyan, and he put 20 or 40.
Now, why do we give it before Purim? Lamaisa Matzah Shekel had to be ready before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So why dafka do we giving it before Purim?
Right.
There is in the Shalmi and other Svarim it says that what's one of the reasons why we give now Matzah Shekel not only is a zeicher to the fact that they gave Matzah Shekel then, but also another reason is because Haman, what did Haman do? Haman went and he bought off Achashverosh. He paid him off.
10,000 כיכר כסף.
Yeah. So Lamaisa, however, we want to show the Eibishter that we have given our Mechsa Shekel, we give our Shkolim to him before Haman gave his Shkolim to Achashverosh. So that's, we want to make sure before Purim comes around that we give our Mechsa Shekel. So because of this, that's why we give it before Purim. Lamais, if we don't give this before Purim, you still give it afterwards because of the other reason, because you want to give it before the Chodesh Nisan, because that's when the Mechsa Shekel was given. Up until the Chodesh Nisan was the final date. But because of this second reason, that there's an Indian to give it before Purim, to makdim our Shkolim, to the Shkol Muhammad.
Yeah, but it's already over and done with. We already got rescued. It's not like we have to
every year we celebrate again Purim. Like, you know, the Arizal. The Arizal Taish the Pasuk, the famous Arizal. It's actually from the Megillah. Vayom me'ela niskadim v'nasim. So he said, what does it mean these days, niskadim v'nasim? He said, Vayidei sheniskadim, through that you remember these days every year, nasim, they actually occur again. The same hamshachis and hashpois happen every year again. Is that from that Izal? And that's what it says when it gave Purim, but it applies to every Yom Tif. Every year Pesach, it's not just a nice tradition and nice memories. This is, we actually have an experience of that idea of Yitzias Mitzrayim, of Purim at that time. So every year we're reliving that inyan.
There was a sikha on the Living Torah this week, Megillah Mafreya. That was the whole Nekuda. That if you're going to read the Megillah thinking that this is something that's not negayah today, it happened before, it's not good.
That was the Baal Torah, the Baal Shem Tov, yeah. Baal Shem Tov said a Torah on the mission of Megillah, literally, HaKoides Megillah Mafreya Lo Yat, the mission says. You read it backwards, means you read one parsha before a later parsha. Before a later parsha. You read it in that order. So you're not Yoitza. Baal Shem Tov Taish the mission at a deeper level. Whoever reads the Megillah Mafreya as if it happened something from a long time ago, not something of today, you're not Yoitza. You have to remember the story applies to us in every generation. And we have to remember the idea. We still have an Iran today, we still have a Persian, a Paras, and he's still announcing that they want to kill out together. B'chol David. So, and not only B'chol David, but we actually have the Inyan of the same Medina and the same idea. So we can't think it's something of Amol.
Who says this teretz about the reason why we give
Earlier, the Yishalmi. The Gemara Yishalmi said that's the reason why we give it now. The reason why we give it now is to makdim our shkolim to the shkolim of Hamsha. Aga, by the way, even from one of the Litvish Shashivas, in the ending of the Megillah, it says, "V'chol ma'isa tokfei gvarasei of Mordechai." All the stories, the greatness of Mordechai. If you want to read about it, there's a lot more to read about it, but not here in the Megillah. A lot more to read about it. Haloihim ksuvim, the Sifrei Paras Amadei. They're in the go look in the history books of the Persian and the Madiyai books, history books of Adir. You'll read more about it. I don't know what these books the Megillah is referring to, but Lamaisa, he said, what's pshat in this pasuk? Is the pasuk just trying to tell you Maramokim, to show you a place where to look up? So Chatzkel Bramsky said that no, pshat over here is that if you're looking for a nice history book, a nice story, so then you can go look up in the Persian version of the story. There they have a lot about details and everything about what happened. There's a lot more than what the Megillah tells you. But over here, this story is a sefer of a Kaddish. This is a Halak, a sefer, part of the Torah. This is not a history book. Lamais, we know that the Balatanya, the Alter Rebbe, was the actual Baal Koida in where he lived, in Liozna and Liadi. He was the actual Baal Koida. And his son, the Mittel Rebbe, whenever he heard his father Lane, he heard the great. He heard a deeper story. He heard the secrets of the Torah. We all know the story. What happened one year when he heard his father was not there for Parshas Kisavim when they read the Teichacha, all the klalos of the Torah, and he heard it being read.
He'd never heard it.
And he was very holy, and he heard all these klalos, and he got sick. So he said, "What do you want? Every year you didn't get sick." He said, "But every year when his father reads it, he doesn't hear the Klovis. He doesn't hear. He hears the deeper meaning." So anyway, 1 year, the Mittel Rebbe, same son, Alter Rebbe's son, he heard Alter Rebbe wasn't in town for Purim, so he didn't hear the Megillah from his father. After he heard the Megillah, he commented to someone, "Azah Sheina Maisa." It's a very nice story. He never heard the story every year. Every year he heard it, so that's a whole gewaltige thing. Now he heard a Maisa. He heard a story.
Every time
You
you
ready?
say Spanish, it falls in the Yiddish.
Yeah. Okay, so the ending of Sifhei. Someone who's ben Yud Gimel Shana Bar Mitzvah, Yeshem in the Chayev, some say is Chayev. However, Yeshem, some say is Potter, and Shehei ben Es until he's 20 years old, because when did they go to the army? When did they have to give Masa Shekel then? Only 20.
It says 20.
20, like we saw in the beginning of this week's Parsha.
Right.
Kisisa, right? Kol Oevel Pekod this week's Parsha. Sivov. Bepurim, Arve Shachris Mincha, Oim Mal Nisim, Yisrael Nisim. As well as in Birchas HaMazon, doesn't mention here. Mimshachach, one forgot to say Al Nisim, Dinim in Chanukah, this is like Chanukah, which we don't go back, everybody say. Siv Zayin. Chayev kol adam beinish l'shmei kis megillah b'layla b'layla v'chiv tir megillah by night and by day v'lachein gam apsulis yeshlam lachs l'beis ha'knesses, even those unmarried girls should go to shul. Im heilches sich in likas if they have to read for them in the house. V'gamas ha'ketanim, those children that reach the age of chinuch, chayav l'chan ha'chayes ha'mashim megillah. Just like every mitzvah, you have to mechanat them chiv chinuch. You know, 6, 7 years old, they have to go hear the megillah. One should not bring very small children to shul, because they disturb those that listen. Megillah shalayla also likas koydin segechavim sivches. The Megillah at night you read. It's not allowed to read it before nightfall because it's not yet Purim. You want to get over the Taanis. However, if someone is pained from the Taanis, Yachol litin ksas koydem Megillah can coffee can have a coffee before kedei lischazik me'at mechol shel Taanis to get a little bit chizuk from the weakness of the Taanis. L'maisa, what's the reason why you're allowed to taste a little bit before? Really, the reason why you're not allowed to eat, why you're not allowed to eat before the Megillah. Taanis is over once it hits nightfall.
Right.
The reason is because before one does a mitzvah, one's not supposed to eat. Before you do the mitzvah, you're supposed to do now Megillah right now. Right over here is Megillah. And it's to sit down and have a meal. You have to read the Megillah. You eat before a mitzvah. To get a shoyfer before a mitzvah, you're not supposed to eat. So l'maisa, that's what we don't eat. However, someone who's shvach, if someone feels shvach, you see that he look like he's not going to go through the Megillah.
Well, everybody's schwach.
Everyone's shvach, but the shaila is how you're able to manage, right? Everyone's weak in a Taanis. But if you see someone's not like, he could take a coffee, let him take a little bit mezainis. Take something small if he really needs it. If someone doesn't need, he should wait till after the Megillah.
Maybe another reason, everybody already in the shul, so you want him to stop, to go to eat, and then to read the Megillah. Everybody already there. We're in the
Yeah, before a mitzvah
That's
we
exactly
don't.
what we're talking about.
Yeah. It's different. Simchas Torah.
I'm just saying.
Not a definitive mitzvah.
Yeah, it's not the mitzvah, it's a minig, and then
I'm just saying.
but it's very unique. The situation of Kafis is a very unique situation.
Yeah, we make a picture.
Yeah. Siftes. Mitzvah na muvchar. Even though Chabad were always makel for davening, because to help concentration davening, for those that need help, one could take a coffee, take a shtuk of mazaynis, not supposed to sit down and have a big major suda. Take something a little bit. However, even then they were makbid, let's say for Tkiyah Shoifer, Chassidim were makbid not to eat before Tkiyah Shoifer. Because the mitzvah in Torah, and they wouldn't eat till Tkiyah Shoifer. Some were makel to take a drink. Some were makel to take a drink, and some were not makel to take a drink.
Put on tefillin before they had a piece of cake.
Yeah, most Chassidim would put on tefillin before. Most Chassidim would put on tefillin before they took a piece of mazaynis.
They put Chabad put tefillin by Mincha?
On Purim?
No, I mean by kindness.
On the Taanis?
No, only Tisha B'Av.
Only.
Other people do?
Yeah.
Both? Shachas and Mincha? Interesting.
Really?
You wear it during
Tefillin
Mincha?
on-
The whole
on-
Mincha you wear tefillin?
I bring the tefillin with me to work.
Put on
work, I
tefillin
go
for
in there.
Mincha? I
and-
never heard of such a thing.
Interesting.
We're in
Sfardim doing this? All the Sfardim doing this?
I don't know, here, the Chalab been doing it.
Chalab.
Syria. Maybe it's that minhag from Chalab.
But your family's from Baghdad, no?
I know, so
You have some of
one time I went there and I didn't put the tefillin when you look at me. I said, that's my minhag. It's your minhag. So I start bringing it. I don't want people to... Question is, I have to say bracha or not.
I don't know.
That's the question.
Well, you should wear, once you're putting on, you should say bracha. Because if you're doing a mitzvah, any person can put on tefillin as many
Say
times you want in the day, but you have to say a bracha again.
Unless you were...
Oh, during the
Unless
week,
you
if
had still
I
a
mean, during the day,
regulation. If you were has
If you have a hefsek, there's a big hefsek in between. Siftes. Mitzvah na muvchar l'shmoya es ha-megillah beis ha-knesset mokum sheish roiv anoshim. The mitzvah, min ha-muvchar, the best way to do the mitzvah is to hear the Megillah in a shul, which has the most people. Mishin de roiv am hadas melech, the more people there are, the more it's covered for the melech, for the king, for Hashem. Chalapachis yireh l'shmoya es min asar, at least there should be 10 people in the room. If you can't have a minyan, then yikra is a kol yachid mitoch Megillah ksheir and brach shana. Every person should read as a yachid with a kasha Megillah with the brachas before. So one person knows how to read it. The rest don't. One person should read it for the other people, even though it's not a minyan. You don't need to have 10 to be yoitze. Al brach shachra, the brach of Harav and Yisirveinu that you say after Megillah, so you only say it when you have a minyan. If you don't say the name of Hashem, you don't say Melech Ha'olam Malchus, even a Yachid could say that bracha. Okay, let's just learn a little bit more. We have to go to Ma'ariv. Minik b'chol Yisrael sha'koyre ne'koyre metoch Megillah krucha. The minik in Klal Yisrael, we don't read the Megillah with a rolled up Megillah.
With a
Rolled up Megillah. We don't like open it rolled. We fold it over, we open it out, poishit oisa, a koif daf al daf, we fold it over and we fold the pages over.
the way the Rebbe would do it.
Yeah, Kimai Yigaris like a letter.
Everybody does it that way.
Yigaris because the Megillah calls it Yigaris HaPurim Hazois. It calls it, this is the letter of Purim. It's a letter. It's not a scroll. It's not a sefer. It's a letter. And a letter is not rolled up. But those that are listening to the Megillah don't need to do that.
Don't what?
Those that are listening to the Megillah, they have a kosher Megillah and they're listening. People that are private people are listening to the Baal Korah.
Do you see people...
They have a private Megillah. They don't have to do
Quite a
that.
lot of people
Oh,
do.
I see.
You see people try to do that.
Sifyat Aleph. Akoyres Megillah Miyim Malayla. We make someone reads the Megillah. Both night and day. Mavarach Vanesh Shalish. Brachis. Make 3 brachis. Hal Mikra Megillah. Shal Sanisim Shechiyanu. Lacha Kriyasa. After you read it, Karcha Kula. You roll it up. Menich Lafani. You put it in front of you, and then you make the bracha. Mavarach Beiches Arav Siveinu.
And then you make the bracha.
Yeah, but it's not our minig. If I'm not mistaken, the Chabad minig is not that way.
We don't say...
What does it say over here?
We don't say Rabbi Shivenu.
No, we do say Rav Siveinu, but I think that the minig Chabad is not
Not to roll it up.
roll it till after the bracha. Till after the bracha. Aval Kodesh Megillah, im Aval Kodesh Megillah, if an Aval is reading the Megillah for the Kehillah, he's the Baal Kodesh. Yivarech Acha Bracha, someone else should make the bracha instead of him. Mishum Bercha Shachiyanu, because he's not supposed to say the Bercha Shachiyanu. Yeah, yeah, the whole year. Sifi Beis Bercha Shachiyanu Shal Yoim, and the Bercha Shachiyanu by day. B'Shas he says Shachiyanu Yichavni Shav Kavana Gam Mitzvah Shayich Manis. So let's put on all the other 3 mitzvahs. Not only Mikra Megillah, they're all new mitzvahs. V'chein hashliach tzibur, the Baal Korah tzorich sheyichav and loyis tzibur gam tzibur. They should have kavanah. Okay, Rav Oy said we can't do everything, but I want to just tell you one important din you should know. The halacha is you're not allowed to read the Megillah Baal Peh by heart. You have to read it inside. However, there's a big kula when it comes to Megillah. Halach is only majority of the Megillah needs to be read inside. The miut of the Megillah can be read outside. But diavad. At Tchila, you should read everything inside. But diavad, if the Baal Koire read it by heart, he's looking around, he didn't read everything inside, he's yoytze as long as Roiv and the Megillah was bifnim. I say for Torah, it's not that way. To make sure he looks inside. Some people, the Baal Koire, at the ending of the Aliyah, he knows it already. Like he lifts up his head, and Le'nechem. No, you have to see inside the word to read it in the Ksav. Not just to look at inside.
It's interesting. Last Monday.
Sometimes it can happen, but someone is not a seasoned Baal Koire. So you know Baal Peh, you know the Kriya. So you start reading it without you have to look at the words. L'maisa by Megillah, of course, l'chatchila every word inside. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because let's say you're listening to the Megillah. Whether you have a chumash in front of you, even if you have a chumash in front of you, and you hear the Baal Koire, and for some reason someone made some noise. There was a kid there that he threw a firework, party snapper, whatever it was, and he made some noise, and you think you missed the word. What are you going to do? You're going to go hear another Megillah? You hear another Kriya? You can read the word inside your chumash, and read it that's called reading Baal Peh, because you know about your yoytze.
Yeah.
The only thing is, you have to know, by the time you're reading this word to chap up, he's already moving forward. And depending on the speed of Baal Koire, I don't know how Rabbi Gams is, but, depending on the speed of the Baal Koire here, it depends how far they reach. So you have to be prepared to not only read one word, you might have to read a few words inside to catch up. So, al pi halacha, that's okay to do. That's what you should do. In such a case, where you have such a situation, you should do this. You should look inside carefully. And sometimes, someone doesn't know the actual Nekudis, he might be using a kasher Megillah, it's all beautiful, but if you don't know the Nekudis by heart, you're going to have this problem. Because what are you going to read inside the kasher Megillah? If you don't know the Nekudis by heart, so you have someone reading the Chumash, actually might be doing better. Could be better off if there's such a situation. And, so then you can read a few words inside. Obviously, Chatchila, we want every word inside. But the Yevet, it's 100% okay, you're Yoitze, if you read it inside, a few words in the Chumash.